everyone. We just have Jamerz online at the moment. So...
Please choose your starting location.
That's the wrong, there we go. Alright. Legion's on, right? Actually, there's something I've been wanting to try for a while with Legion again. Oh, do we have... That's Jamerz. Nice, welcome. Oh, that's right, I don't have keybind set up for any of that. That's fine. I'm going to be playing Legion. Because I just don't have, I literally don't have any keybind set up for it. You can't hear me? Is my voice registering? Yeah, it should be. So I played in a, oh, the price is reduced, that's awesome. I played in a tournament a little while back, back when Legion wasn't played so much, and I had a rush build that I was trying, so I'm gonna be trying that out again and seeing how that goes.
Battle paused.
No, auto start. Okay. Alright. If I... Test 1, 2, 3. Okay. My test seems to be working. Where is Academy chat? Oh, you can hear me, nice. You said that when I was typing, so can you hear my typing? Oh. Hi. Shall we go then? I'm ready. Okay, do you want to restart?
Battle started.
Alrighty. Like the attitude. Yes, I am, because I'm starting in the north. See, so I'm going down. enemy skaters down and all that stuff. Have you played much Legion? I've only done cheesy stuff with it so far, so... I know. Okay, so you know what the units are. Oof, that costs more energy than it used to. And it doesn't have the line of sight that it used to. That's okay. Also, oh, that's right. Legion has the fancy mexes that like overbuild. That generate a bunch of energy. It's fine. Yeah.
Low power.
Nah. I don't have my groups. Okay, this is working. That's nice to see. There's a converter in there? I still got it.
Enemy commander destroyed. Battle ended.
What even is that unit called? The Alaris? That has got to be my favorite Legion unit, although the Wheelie has the coolest name. Do you want another go at that? Okay, I'm gonna do the same build. Let's see what you can come up with against it. Those like monospams are actually like deceptively difficult. I started doing it with grunts and I've tried it with a bunch of other things. I think the Alaris is particularly good because it's burst, which means I can kill a couple of your grunts before they even really get a chance to do damage
Please
to me.
choose your starting location.
And then that's just a huge advantage just right off the bat.
Battle started.
Yeah. I reckon the reduced factory costs helps a bunch. I'd be curious to try it like against Neb again because I practiced grunts against him a lot, and he really worked out how to respond to that well.
You're low on
Welcome,
power.
fella.
Hello.
Hello, Jamerz and I are in a room where having just playing a couple 1v1s while waiting for
Okay.
people. I might have overbuilt wind generators, but that's fine. So I did that, yeah. If you, I guess you can watch on the Discord stream or join the battle. If you join battle, then we can give you a game next or something.
Okay.
Yeah, I think
Yeah, just join.
Nice. Yeah, so I'm doing... Oh, that's sneaky. I'm doing this unit spam, mono spam that I did against him in the previous game. And just giving him a chance to like practice responses to it. Where'd you start? There. Oh, okay. That's a great way to shut me down. Okay, and that's a laser tower, probably from a constructor that's gone out. That's pretty good. Probably need more scouts for this, actually. Especially if I do that. Okay. I guess you do have a radar then? Oh, those can basically not get up that slope. That's pretty... significant. Okay. I definitely need more scouts to be doing this. And definitely better micro as well. I think you've got this one right. I'm curious to check the replay and see what you did differently. Wow, they really struggle against the incisors. For the amount of extra price they are, they're really not faring well. Okay. What other units do we have here? We really only have the Decurion.
Need power.
Yeah, I thought we might do that. I just should have responded once I decided it was a possibility. These Helliers feel weaker than I was expecting them to be. Oh well. I mean, they're only marginally more expensive than your incisors, so it kind of makes sense that they wouldn't be like massively stronger.
Low power.
That's fine. Probably need to start doing something about radar. What does Legion have that can destroy LLTs? That can destroy LLTs.
So I'm gonna step away for 1 second. I'll be right back.
Aircraft spotted.
NTR1. Which isn't much of an NTR.
Need power.
Come on. that line sort of running into LLPs, not LLPs, sorry, your tanks at the beginning just hurt so much. Look, you've got Empics. I do not have energy. Oh wow.
Yeah, I am back.
Battle ended.
Welcome back.
So one thing I noticed when you were talking about the trades with the Helios versus incisors is that Helios seem to like it's a thing where they partially miss. Like
Yeah.
the incisors are so fast, their beam doesn't stay on the target.
Yeah, my thought was like, if I build them, they outrange, they're a little bit slower, so it's like in an engagement where both of them meet, it's like surely like one will beat one, but it was kind of not really, beating it. I'm just gonna load up a replay and have a scan through that. I feel like at the start I was like throwing away too many units, and that kind of continued throughout the game, so like a vision thing, but I'm curious like the unit numbers. I'm streaming my screen in case anyone is curious.
Battle started.
Okay, so constructor out and sizes. Oh, I have 3 incisors. 11 Alaris. So usually with this sort of thing, it's like once, like a lot of these come out really quickly, so it's better for me to keep these alive, and not lose them like this. Because the more metal he spends on stuff like radar, LLT, and even a max, that builds up the unit advantage, and so if I'm, then we get to a point where, yeah, we start getting larger gaps between the units. And that's when that gap happens, is about when you can expect him to run out of resources too. And that's when I'll have my strongest window to actually fight him. Also, if I can keep a scout alive, then that's an opportunity to find where he has stuff that isn't defended, because I've again got the faster units. I'm not sure though, because like with the metal deficit, I might just have not been putting out enough units altogether. Because like that's, I mean, because I did switch over to Helios is the thing, but they're slightly more expensive, and I'm really down on units. So I'm wondering how much of that is just a thing of Legion having less metal available to it overall with these metal extractors.
Quick question: how much of those spam that you sent out would you have lost if you built a constructor in that, just to get your metal eco going faster?
Okay, if I build a constructor, I lose 2 of them. If that constructor builds anything else, I lose more. And that's an especially bad deal for Legion, I think, because like if I build a metal extract, because part of what I could say here is I've overbuilt energy slightly. I wasn't paying attention to ratios, for example. To get the most out of a spam like this, you probably want to optimize for like the average wind speed is something, so probably about 80 energy per second, probably maybe 85, something like that. Given that I have +7 energy per second, so really I could stand to lose about 60 60 energy per second, which is like 4 of those wind generators, which is 180 metal, which is almost 3 Alaris, which is kind of big.
And another question: at this point in the game, with all the things you have done so far, why not have your comm build a energy converter just so you're not floating off as much energy, and then get that extra metal?
That would probably be a good idea. But it would be, I think it would be even better to just skip the wind generators.
Skip them or eat them at this point?
Yeah, well, eat them would be... Well, I mean, I don't know, because once I fall behind and once I'm not able to fight against him or probe and deal damage, then that's the sort of situation where I'm like... Because the entire unit spam thing relies on having enough units that I can pick off his units one by one. And so in this sort of an engagement, I have an 11 Alaris against potentially just 4 of his incisors. There is an LLT there, but if I can fight the incisors with this 11 Alaris without coming into range of the LLT, then I could probably win that. I don't actually know. And it might be better to just run circles around him, but I don't know if I've got enough extra speed. I've got like almost 20% extra speed. I don't know. Yeah. The rush is definitely very all or nothing. And the idea of it is that rather than using like eco structures to build an advantage over the enemy, you're using your army to like destroy everything that they can build with those eco structures. So it is very, very all or nothing. But incisors are very strong.
And also, to be fair, they knew.
Hmm?
And also, to be fair, they knew you were doing the same strategy again, too, so they could prepare for it.
Yeah, yeah. Actually, maybe let's... do you want to go back, Jamerz? I want to give it, like, one more game. Is that not what it's called? No, it's Tundra V2. Yeah. Let's give it one more game and see what I can manage if I don't waste resources. Lol. LOL? That... Wow. Okay. I did not expect that to change to the continents map. I think I'm gonna go for the same plan. I just want to see what I can do against it. And I don't mind that you know exactly what I'm gonna do. And then maybe we'll get Othello in and he can give Jamerz a game.
Okay, sounds good. I'll probably be very outplayed.
That's
yeah,
alright.
I'll give it a try.
I just got very outplayed.
Please choose your starting location.
I always spend like probably way too long trying to optimize like the mech start positions. How many wind generators did I decide I needed last game? I can't remember.
Battle started.
Well, if the target was if the target was 80 energy per second, Commander produces 30, so that's 50 left over. 3 mexes produces 20 energy per second, so that's 30 left over. I should need something like 3 wind generators then. I think I've done that math right. Although the metal extractors don't cost any energy to run as well. So I don't need to factor that in where I usually have to factor that in if I'm doing something as another faction. I don't want to let that decay because that wastes time. And then Commander needs to be on low priority. So I might add like 1 extra wind generators just to get things built faster.
You're low on power.
And I guess I could reclaim it later when I'm low. And then like it might even be worth it to just build a solar collector rather than wind generators, even though that takes more metal, because then that leaves me with slightly more energy. Like that would be enough energy to build another Alaris sooner. So we could optimize that out. Okay, we have bombs. That's interesting. Because that could also mean we have ticks. And he definitely has a lot of pawns over here. That pathing's not good, but that's actually fine. And we outrange the pawns, which is awesome. We lost our scout, but we've got a new one. We did that damage, I think, without losing any, so we should be in the clear here. Incisors might just be where we struggle against, because I should have plenty of enough force to fight against that. Commander's over there. Don't lose any to the commander, because that's really bad. And that should be it. Make sure we target the pawns first, not the mexes first, because if we lose our Alaris, it like doesn't matter how many mexes I kill, we're just behind. Okay, good. We did all that damage. We lost a few in a bad engagement. He has laser towers now. Like at this point you could kind of say, well, it's like we might as well have had an extra wind generator. But the wind speed is definitely low. We lost a max. Not that it's really worth having that extra max, because we're not even using that energy. So if the commander's still away from the base, the pawns are going to stay away from us so we can do a bunch of pico damage here. Then we can kill the pawns. Commander's moved away from this mech up here, so we can probably go kill that. Make sure we group them up before entering the laser tower so we don't take unnecessary damage. he doesn't have any energy anyway, so that's fine. Do I have a scout? Did he send out a constructor? Because we've got the laser tower up there. Does that? I don't know if that means that he's got a constructor out somewhere. And I definitely need my scouts out now so I can figure out where the rest of this stuff is. I'm definitely going to build another one generator. Probably a solar collector. It says the average on this map, average wind is 12 and a bit, but oh no, that's a wind risk. The average is 10.6, okay. Okay, there is a constructor out here, we weren't grouped up, we didn't know where that was, but that's fine. Yeah, so the cost of not having everything grouped up and firing at the mexes first is that we didn't kill the laser tower quickly, and so we lost like 3 or 4 of the Alaris. Probably best. If I can keep his energy low, I might be able to fight the commander. But I have so few units, I'm actually really vulnerable to a D-gun, and I'm, like, economically, because I haven't expanded, I'm not really that far ahead. And so even though I'm keeping him down at basically nothing, I really feel like I can't actually engage him here. And he's keeping that Centurion away very well. It's probably best at this point, if he's going, like, super defensive like that, to just pull the pressure off. It's going to be difficult and costly for him to expand, likely. So I can probably just switch now into constructors, and just do a bunch of expansion, and he can't really raid me because I've got all the map control. Let's start getting that one there. I swap the commander forwards. And Alan can guard the factory. And that's probably a tick on the hill there, which I probably can't kill. So it's actually probably going to be very annoying. He moves the tick. And we should be using these scouts here. These can keep tabs on what he's doing, where he's moving, so that I can make sure I'm keeping him boxed in well. And it can spot opportunities like that there, hopefully. Because with the Centurion, and especially with laser towers going down now, I mean, I could be wrong, but I don't think these Alaris could really kill him. If I bring them all over here, I might be able to kill the Centurion, though. He runs the Centurion away. Which is good. He should... I mean, you've got to be careful that you don't, like, lose the Constructor, but moving that Centurion in so that it doesn't get picked off is good, and we actually see a... we see a laser tower over there. So he's expanding over there. I'm gonna see if I can fight this. Just because I want to know, and I don't want to not fight it if I can't. I'm gonna target the pawns first. Which I can't do very well because the Centurion is body blocking, and then with the repair he definitely kills it. Okay, that is nice to know. He's probably got a commander over here, so I'm gonna see if I can actually pick up this laser tower. If he's far enough over the other side for me to pick up the laser tower. Might be able to get the mechs as well, because it drew everything over the other side, so it's not worth losing that army over the other side just for that. And that was a very bad micro where I kept not shooting the laser tower, lost everything. Okay, and now that my army is gone, now that that constructor's there, he can just build a radar. But now my army's gone, this I'm just gonna put straight back on, for now, I just go back to Laris and see what they're capable of. it was capable of killing that pawn, apparently. We still have the scout. I'm gonna get it over to scout where those are over there. You can just build mexes over there. This constructor can just build a few radars for me. Lose that one to the tick, that's fine. He could be sending out more ticks, probably. That looks like a laser turret going up. Wait, are ticks bigger than they used to be? It's like almost as big as the Alaris. Or is the Alaris just really small? Okay. Apparently I've got another constructor coming over. Probably would have been better if it was got in the factory, but we'll just do this. Radar down. Actually, what we could totally do is we could get these constructors and stop them building. They could just area mix. Commander could build another factory, and then we could build something slower and more dominating like a decorant. I still don't have the army to really do anything, but hopefully that changes soon. And let's see if I can get that tick somehow. That constructor should not have pathed in that direction, but we see his entire army moving over to kill it. So while he's doing that, we can just move our entire army over this other way. Commander should be fine on its own. Let's see if we can kill a Centurion. How much damage do we need for that? We don't have enough damage for a Centurion. So it seems like the damage potential against tankier units just isn't there. I don't think that's the laser attack, so we should be able to kill this. They might be able to kill them, and then the Decurion should be able to walk into the base. They should also be able to fight his commander, and his commander is really isolated, so instead I'm just going to go after the commander in this case. There's a Centurion over there, so they just died. Oh, right. Understandable, have a nice day. We should outrange the commander, so if we just keep kiting it as well as very slow units can, should be easy enough to kill it. And we'll just run my commander away so that he can't kill that. Good shot. Good shot. Not quite good enough shot. And then we've got the Alaris coming in.
Enemy commanders destroyed.
So that's kind of the idea of when it does work,
Battle
that kind of a
ended.
rush. You get them to defend and shut you down, and it's definitely possible to shut it down, but then they tend to invest in slower units or immobile units like immobile units like your whatchamacallit, your Centurion, and then you know they can't just send them across the map and raid you, and so you just keep your faster units away from their slower units, and you can expand a lot freer than they can.
So one of the questions I was thinking of is, there was pretty long points where your commander wasn't actually putting any build power into the lab just because you didn't have the resources.
Yeah.
So why not move it down and take that mechs, that fourth one that was just a bit south of your main base?
I did that last game. Probably worth it. I just wasn't thinking about it and didn't pay attention to it that game.
And another one was not maybe right in the beginning, but once your initial attacks were fought off, I think you could have easily built a energy converter, because you floated, I think it was like 20,000 energy.
Oh wow.
By the end of that.
Okay, that's probably a good point, especially when because I did slightly overbuild the wind generators. Yeah. I don't know, because I'm also thinking that it might also be worth just building a solar for the stability. Because in the times where it drops down especially early, I have extra metal. And because a converter costs a ton of energy, so I have to build it later, but then I don't want to overbuild. There's a cost to overbuilding energy, like overspending on wind generators early, because then I get fewer units out, I can deal less damage to him, which means he can defend his expansion, and the expansion can start paying off, and then I lose. So
I was thinking,
yeah,
more of having your.
Hmm?
I was thinking, instead of having your commander be low priority in the lab, have it be low priority on like an energy converter or a mechs, so if you have excess that the lab can't use itself because it was able to use all your economy anyway for most of it, have your commander be improving your economy.
Yeah, I mean, I probably want that little bit extra bit of economy that the commander can use. I've experimented with things like building a constructor to assist the factory, and that the commander walks across the map to join in the battle, and on smaller maps that works pretty well, actually. Larger maps, less well. And it works better when you're building slower units like thugs. So
especially considering specifically with Legion, because a solar is 140, correct?
yeah,
So metal per metal, you're gonna have a higher energy cost, but metal per metal, a mechs produces almost the same amount as a solar collector.
yeah. Oh, interesting. For Legion, that's actually a good point. But then you've got, because the idea of the solar collector is that it's close, you don't have to walk for it, and it doesn't cost energy, so you use the metal that you're not able to spend to get more energy without costing you any energy. And
But it's to kind of counter the point of you not wanting to move. If your commander is putting 0 build power worth of metal and energy into a lab, it's basically just sitting there doing nothing.
right, but then building something else is putting negative build power and metal and energy into the lab. That's my concern. And so it's like, if it's really truly doing nothing, then maybe it would be better just walk the commander across the across the map, and then I can build something like a closer factory, a radar that would be useful, something like that.
Or you could reclaim the trees that are pretty close to your base too.
True, I could do that if I'm low on energy. And like, because if I'm oh, we're doing special reef. Like, you guys are actually doing it. This game is gonna take forever.
So how much can a lab consume metal and energy wise if it's running 100%?
I think it... I'm not sure. I think it consumes around 6, which makes the commander mostly useless. Yes. It used to be a little bit better when you're... Like, that entire build, that's actually probably a big part of the difference, actually. So the factories used to have less build power and cost more. And so for the person sitting just with the commander on the factory, it didn't cost... it didn't cost them as much as the other guy, but for Jamerz, because he saves a little bit on his factory, and then it has a little bit more build power, he doesn't have to spend as much on extra build power to use the extra resources. And it's of very little benefit to me, because like I'm not building extra energy anyway, in order to save metal. Things like that.
It's also just thinking that, like, if say you had taken like 20% of the resources you put into not the initial attack, but the later ones, like more mid-game-ish. If you had taken those, put those into your economy, that would have also reduced how much metal they were able to reclaim from the Rex, which was I think approximately 1,000 metal.
Yeah. Well, I think strictly the idea is that whatever they reclaim, if I have a unit advantage, I'm dealing damage with enough efficiency that, like... Because if he's reclaiming, like, 1,000 worth of metal, how much metal worth of units did I destroy in order for him to have that metal to reclaim?
True.
So that's the entire point of that sort of a rush. Rather than building up, like, scaling economy, you scale army, and you scale army by killing his army faster than he can build it. Which I managed to do until he started building slower, heavier units that could safely kill me before I could kill him. And it makes a ton of sense that a slow unit beats a fast unit once they start shooting each other. And that's generally the idea. It's like, that's part of why defenses are more effective than mobile units, is because you sacrifice the ability to move to gain additional ability to shoot, or additional ability to take damage, or whatever.
It also didn't help that you lost that right mix for like I think it was like 3 or 4 minutes.
That's actually a really good point. If I lose that max, I probably, at least once I run out of metal, I'd probably better just move my commander away. Okay. I'm super curious, so I'm just gonna do like an optimistic best case scenario between your two bases. It literally takes a tick over a minute to cross that distance. A pawn, it would take 2 minutes. That essentially means that you might as well only build constructors for a certain portion of the game, because until you start moving closer to him, then he really can't do anything to you with units.
That's fair enough.
And then you want to send like mostly like the fastest units across the map that you can, like scouts, especially vehicle scouts, because then that actually gives you massive value, because you see when the enemy units are moving across the map what they are, and you get huge amounts of warning. So the larger the map, the more valuable a scout is, because it gives you more information. And even if that information is there's no unit here, that's incredibly valuable.
And how many ticks does it take to reliably take down an LLC?
Too many. It's literally just
or not
another
ticks,
weapon.
grunts. Grunts, not ticks, sorry.
The more the better, but you probably want at least 4. You can do it with 3. I think you might even be able to do it with 2. It's just you're probably going to lose both those grunts if you do it with 2, and you're going to lose most of the grunts if you do it with 3. So if you do it with 4, you actually kill it fast enough that it doesn't get a chance to do much damage to you. Does that make sense?
Would having the 2 grunts come from opposite directions make that more likely that one survives?
Yes. Especially if you do it so, like, the laser tower takes time to turn around. So you can eat just that little bit more optimization out of it. If the first grunt comes in ever so slightly before the first one, just enough to make the laser tower have to turn around before it starts firing. But again, that's like a micro optimization. And it's a tiny optimization compared to, like, if you just bring in an additional if you just bring in an additional grunt, then you get much more benefit out of that. Honestly, in a lot of cases, I'd say that although killing like 3 mexes is like pretty valuable, it's like it's a very tiny portion of the economy on just a massive map like this. I generally go more for keeping the tick alive, because that would be more like capitalizing on what is most valuable to you. And then that.
So in that case, I was. Oh, in that case, I was a bit more of an APM stall.
Yeah. Yeah, but then in that case, I'd say it's like anticipate those APM stalls. Make sure you take the tick away so it can stay alive.
Okay. Yeah,
I generally say that on most maps, it's like watch your army, because if your economy stalls, it's like worth less than the amount of damage your army can do. But actually, like, you're getting so little army across the map on a map like this that that's not entirely true. That it's like pushing the boundaries of that. Especially because on such a large map, it's so like defender favored.
So on big maps like this, do you ever think about putting forward production of units up?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I definitely would. I tend to, at some point, just get my commander moving across the map, because that's a great way to put down build power and then just, I don't know, almost progressively add on factories as I go. I'd also, like, on larger maps like this, a much bigger emphasis on vehicles, because while on a smaller map, it's like across like larger distances, it's like on smaller maps, it doesn't make too much of a difference between a vehicle constructor and a bot constructor, but it's like per metal spot working between each metal spot, it's what, 20 seconds for a vehicle constructor, and can I math? And about 24 seconds for a bot constructor. And so it's like, if you're going, it's like, well, that's an additional 4 seconds every, or maybe an additional 3 seconds every group of 3 mexes that you build. That's not a lot of difference if you're just building 3 of them, but when you're building, like, how many of them? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That one constructor might be building, or something like that. It's like that distance you're walking, that's a whole 40 seconds. And so, on average, your mexes are all delayed by 20 seconds. If you go, like...
Does that...
if you go, that's like about 10 lots of 3 mexes delayed by 20 seconds. That's on the order of like 600 mexes. If you do that per line of mexes, like 1 here, one here. That's like a couple thousand at least metal that you're losing per line of mixes.
Does that take into account the
overall,
increased
yeah.
build power?
No, that's ignoring the increased build power that a construction vehicle has, so it would be even better. And then there's additional walking that constructors have to do. Additional walking that constructors have to do between each of the 3 mexes, so it's possibly even worse. Although that's less of a difference between them because the construction bot is better at stop-start because it accelerates faster because it's bot.
I am not used to having so much metal.
No, it's really tough. What you've got to think about is for every constructor you've got adding on metal extractors, you need a constructor adding on wind generators. And for every constructor you've got doing both of them, you need another constructor adding on build power. And that's very quickly not just additional construction turrets, that's also additional factories. Something that's worth noting is like vision is a couple of things I could mention. Number one, vision is extremely important on a map as large as this, because it's like it takes so long for you to react that you want as much warning time to react. So like having scouts just sitting in the middle of the map, or
Commander has died.
oops.
That was my only chance.
Well done.
That was. Say
Battle
I
ended.
managed to squeak that out. I was not going to win that if I didn't do that snipe.
Yeah. Yeah, he definitely had a better expansion. Partly because he went a ton of cons early, rather than additional pawns early. And one of the things is like on a smaller map, you get a pawn out earlier, you might be able to kill extra things because there's not so much to defend it. But on a map that large, you really don't get that much of a benefit. It's almost like the later that you build the army, the more things that they have to destroy, so the more valuable they are, because the map doesn't really close up as much in the same way. But the earlier you build a constructor, the more time they have building stuff, so the larger the map, the better it is to invest in more constructors early before you get to anything else.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I just didn't think of it.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely. I don't know how much I'll find myself playing Special Reef 1v1, but next time I do,
It
queue up,
helps you
10
understand the
constructors.
game. It does
Yeah,
definitely
yeah.
helps you understand the game. And if you ever find yourself playing FFA or something like that, that kind of big map understanding is really useful. There are other things, like because it takes longer to react, you probably want more like defenses built out in different locations, and so you want more constructors expanding in different directions so that you can add on those defenses. I like to add on additional factories around the map as well, so that just to limit the amount of travel time from point to point. On a map like this, it makes a huge difference to not take 2 minutes to get your pawns just across the map. If you can lower that down to like 30 seconds down to reaching the enemy rather than 2 minutes or whatever for whatever unit you build, it allows you to build the more stronger, more expensive units that you otherwise might not be able to build. Like you'll often notice, like in team games, like they'll build the behemoth from a T3 factory on the front line, so it's just there.
Yeah.
That's like the extreme of that example.
It also could be that because it takes so long to cross the map, if you're hitting some of the back mexes, it could have already paid itself off just
Totally.
because it's been up for so long.
Totally. While it's like, well, it's definitely already paid itself off. It's like, people like to say that a mex pays itself off in 25 seconds, and in a way that's kind of true, but it's also less true than it could be. it's less true than it could be, because the constructor, you have to build a constructor in order to build the mechs, and then you have to pay that off as well. Then you also have to build energy in order to use the metal that the metal extractor produces. And that's additional cost that the metal extractor has to pay off too. On most maps, it's something like, depending what you're building, between 2 and 4 wind generators per metal extractor. And that's quite expensive.
Also, assuming you aren't able to take out the build power to either resurrect or reclaim and rebuild it, then you're only taking it out for 15 seconds.
Yeah, and so that's another reason why it's like destroying the maxes earlier on with the rushed pawns. Is like, by the time you rush the pawns, they have enough economy that they can just rebuild it just like that. Whereas it's like, part of the reason it's like better to, the further away from your base, the less good it is to build additional mechs as well, because they're harder to defend. And the further away you get from your base, the more valuable it is to raid, because the harder it is for them to respond. Like, one of the reasons that that unit rush that I was doing before, it's like the complete opposite example of that. It's like, it thrives on a small map, in part, but also you're getting to a situation where you're sending all your units into a base where there's a commander. So even if you can get out more units than they can, you're fighting like the additional might of a commander, which is like considered to be worth like a couple thousand metal or something in terms of military value. Yeah.
So I have a question about the game, because I found myself in a situation where I was floating so much metal, well, because of that, I was not used to metal, but
yeah.
Even when I got my energy up, I was like, what's in a 1v1? Okay, let me just say, because I'm more used to team games. In the team games, I would go T2. But I know that 1v1 T2 is more delayed and can cause like a kind of a fatal gap in your unit production. But I was strongly considering going T2 there because I was just floating so much. And
on a map that size, just do it. What are they gonna do? If it takes so long for them to get to you and react to the fact that you've gone T2 so long that you'll have T2 units out. And if you're cautious about it, it might make a little more sense to go via air, but for all the other reasons described, it's like going air is going to have a much more reduced impact than it could because of the map size. Air is fast, but it still takes a huge amount of time to fly across the map. Because it's such a big map, it's harder to scout the enemy. It's because they've got more economy and their energy production is still going to be centralized. It can be even more difficult to actually damage their energy production substantially with air. And then your air, like, you'll build it, you'll use it, and then it'll stop being effective while they build T2. They've got the T2 con, and that can just keep building T2 maxes for the rest of the game because the map's so big. And so I think you get to a map size where eventually people just start going T2 before they go air. And they will probably go air shortly after. But part of the value of it is, like, in order to keep up with, like, the size of economy, the energy required to build air is, like, extra expensive. So then they go fusion, and then they go air.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I need to step away for just a little bit. So if someone wants to sub in for me, and then I can be back for more games.
So you guys were talking about a lot of like battle theory. What's the more like technical aspects to be good to like practice? You know, like hotkeys or like groupings. Like the technical aspects of controlling the game. Like hotkeys and groupings. What's like the most important thing to get drilled down?
Honestly, it depends on your play. I used to be a master of hotkeys control groups, and then I started playing less frequently, and my mind just can't remember which group I've assigned what anymore. and so I changed the way I played around that. I tend to do more Monospam. I tend to like pork areas of the map so I don't have to manage armies so many like across the map. I tend to like fully transition from one thing to another rather than partially, just because I can't keep up with the groups. So like there's ways in which you can adapt your play to your strengths and weaknesses, but then also like it really depends. On a map like Supreme, or Glitters, which most people play, there's great value in just being able to go to your army just like that. But it's not too much of a hassle to just scroll across the map, and so you can totally just play with no hotkeys, no. But I think the biggest thing is just understanding the game. Because the better you understand the game, the less mistakes you make, the less actions you have to do, and so that helps with like, and then thinking is probably one of the biggest limiting factors. If you don't know what to do, you have to think. Thinking is slow, and so if you ever think, that slows down your APM probably more than having to go and find something in the build list, because you probably get used to where it is anyway.
I only have a bit over 100 hours, so this might be something I knew, but I also have consistent hotkeys between games.
Yeah.
So like, my 2 is always my T1 constructors, 3 is my T2.
Yeah.
1 is just general spam army. 4 is any army that I need to kite with.
Yeah.
5 is just a what am I doing special for that game. And then 6, 7, 8, and 9 kind of they float. They changed a few times, but
yeah. I tend to like customize my groups to like the specific situation, which has a bunch of downsides because like it's always changing, and it can be difficult to remember like what I've grouped them as this game. Because it's like, if I'm doing an air raid, I'll have my fighters as 1, I'll have my scouts as 2, and then 3, 4, 5 will be groups of 5 bombers at a time, so I can either group them all on the same target, or I can separate them out. And then if I'm doing like last game, I had Group 1 was all of my Alaris, and Group 2 was my Wheelie, so that I could send it around. And I might, in that sort of case, I might have like multiple Wheelies each on their own group, so I can quickly, because like Wheelies are the kind of thing you need to select quickly and move, because they need to get close so they can see something, and then get away so that they don't die because they're really weak.
I also play more large team battles in 1v1 so far too, so
yeah, and that changes everything again. It's like in large team I tend to like, I'll have 1 is my fast units, 2 is my artillery, 3 is my race bots, 4 is my vision, like my scouts, or because I find it less important to constantly manage that, my scouts and my radars and my radar jammers and stuff like that. So that's how I tend to do it. Jamerz, if you're not up for a real game, I can give a game. Would you prefer that?
Not the game.
Say again?
Jammer, we're gaming. We're gaming, Jammer. I like these big maps. I like them because I suck at them.
Makes them fun. So long as you don't care too much.
This is like a Lovish type of map. Lovish loves these like giant maps.
I'm not a fan of the less interactive maps, especially if there's like too much of a taste of like rock paper scissors. I like the interactivity of the game, and so I often struggle in like air positions and tech positions because it's like I don't want to just gamble. I want to see what they're doing and come up with the perfect counter. Where it's like air on supreme, that's really difficult.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like build order, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, which is actually we're talking about rock, paper, scissors.
It's really
If they're going for the 8-minute bombing run and you're going for the fusion, you're just cooked.
Yeah.
Normally on Supreme, I usually play the pawn position because I like it because I can eco if front is holding strong, or switch into being front as well.
Yeah. I'm typically front to C, but I did spend a bit of time practicing air. A really long time ago, I practiced eco. It has been a while.
No, it's a running joke.
Is AKU in chat? In voice chat? Are you?
Speaking.
Okay, so you're our space racer. Okay. Do you mind if I talk
Yeah,
about the
yeah.
game? Because that's what I've been doing.
Sure.
So, I have a question for both of you guys. And if Othello is still here, why are you starting in the corner?
Corner cheese. It's like, what is it, the prismatic map? Where there's like, you spawn in the corner, it's just easy to defend.
Okay.
It also does have that raised section.
Yeah.
I guess it's also a thing too.
Because my instinct would be
you-
to start mid so that you're A, close to the enemy, B, like, there's kind of like a shadow mechanic where it's like anything, like, if you position between yourself and the enemy, sorry. What was I saying? If you're like between your expansion and the enemy, then it's much harder for the enemy to get to your expansion because you can get there faster and defend it. And so I tend to aim for that in my kind of thing. On like maps like Common, I'll walk my commander straight towards the enemy. So he has to go through that before he goes to anything else. Or he has to go all the way around and avoid it.
You can also build a defensive line and then have stuff behind it really easily protected instead of having to protect a much larger area for much larger line, or a smaller line, but just defending less area.
Yeah.
Oh my god, this guy.
See how there's nothing to kill with the scouts yet? Well, not quite nothing, but yeah. And then, of course, like, you see that the enemy has scouts, and so then you can respond to that and go, it's like, well, how many has he built? Is he still building them? Is he using them aggressively? Like, just the fact that you had that one scout that was coming across, and as it ran away, it stayed in the vision of the enemy scouts, you were like, oh, I know he's sending the enemy scouts towards me. And so you can just track them across the map and just know where they are on the entire journey back. And so you know what you need to defend, how much you need to defend, that sort of stuff. It can be really useful. Especially if they stay alive.
And also, if you can claim that area that I circled, you have much more efficient mexes too.
Oh, they're all 3.0. Nice. Wait, that goes down the entire middle of the map. Oh, nice. And of course that all starts closer to one side, so you're like starting like as far away as possible from all those mexes. Okay.
vehicles can go over these ridges, right? That are in the middle.
Hopefully.
Yes, they can. There's like a small peak in one place that they can't go over, but apart from that, they can do it. And here's the thing with those incisors, like, you might be using them defensively, say, but, the thing with, Akamar scouted them, and so that he knows that, like, he has a certain amount of time before he needs to respond to them, and that, how much is it for incisors to cut across the map? That's 110 seconds, so he can continue building mexes for 110 seconds before he has to worry about building any incisors in response. And then potentially slightly longer because his build power is going to be more advanced. He's also going to have laser towers to defend himself, and stuff like that. And of course, as he expands across the map, that map changes, but it's still a thing. Something here with Akamar's Commander expansion. He's basically taken that in a circle where he comes out and then comes back in towards his base. I personally don't like to do that, although it can be sort of risky to move your commander too far away from base. I don't like to do that kind of circle back in towards the base, because if you build these metal extractors over here, further away from the base, then you can build a new constructor and it can come out and build these for you. But if you come back and build over these, then the constructor has to walk all that way over before it can start building additional mexes, and so you kind of box yourself in and make it difficult for yourself to expand effectively and get value from expansion. So Jamerz, see how you're very low in energy right now? Just counting your constructors expanding, you have 4 constructors on expansion, right? What I would do is I would back that up with, I would just have 4 constructors building energy. Every time I send out a constructor to expand, I'd have 4 on expansion, and then I'd also have another one the entire time building build power, and it would be something like, if you're gonna say stay on like a T1 factory, then you build like probably about 4 build power, then a factory, 4 construction turrets, then a factory, then like 4 construction turrets and another factory, and 4 or something like that. I think that's about the optimal number for a vehicle factory, is like 4 per factory, and then it's more efficient to build a new factory just because of how long it takes for units to drive out of the factory.
When is it better to build wind turbines in this pattern that both are using versus like having a roads of 2 that are very close together?
On this sort of a map, I'd go for rows of 2. Couple reasons for it. Number one reason for it is you want the rows to be gradually built further and further away from your base. So in the same manner of where you build mexes that I was talking about earlier, you want the wind generators away from your base so that you have space to build more wind generators. And space to build your T2 factory, fusions, additional build power, all that sort of stuff that you're gonna want to be building later.
But does that really go over the fact that your construction vehicle wouldn't have to move as much to build the same number of turbines?
I think it's definitely worth it. The amount of extra moving per extra turbine is not super significant. I mean, if you're spacing it out a ton like Jamerz is spacing it, then it's more of a concern, but you don't need to space it out that much. Even if you're spacing it the distance that Akamar is spacing it, that's a lot more compact, and then yeah, it's a lot more compact and saves a lot of time, and you'll see like his constructors are spending a lot less time doing it, and then doing it in a row of 2, even spaced like that, you can still do it in a row of 2 and just away from the base. Like just if you continued this line over here, if you can see where I'm drawing, yeah. rather than building it in a block. And so if all these wind generators here had been just built in a block out here, that would be great. And then another constructor could easily come through this area, but if he's gonna now try to send a constructor through this area, it's probably gonna get stuck on a bunch of these things. It's gonna be much slower to drive through there, B, it might not be able to get through there at all.
This that Akumar is doing is about 2/3 as dense as doing them side by side in a row of 2.
Yeah. But here's the benefit of it being spread out. This bombing run is going to do hardly anything. Like, what that bombing run would have best done, actually, is target the build power here and target the build power there. Easiest way to disable the largest portion of his economy, but you destroy, like, a few solar collectors here, a few solar collectors there. You're destroying a very small portion of the economy. And relatively easy to, like, just put that back up. Especially if the build power is still there, because like however many constructors that he has. Not a lot to talk about when things happen very slowly like this.
It'll just take so long for an attack group to actually get to the base.
Yeah. Jamerz, have you made a radar at all this game? Jinxer wants to know. Is there a reason why? Because I would personally add on a radar for, if not every batch of 3 mexes, probably every second, at the worst. Maybe even send out like a constructor specifically to like build radar like away from the base, just to keep tabs on things. The thing about big maps like that is that you see the army advantage that Akama has from winning the last few engagements, and it's just taking so long to cross the map and do anything. Jamerz, again with the T2 transition, you've just queued up like a bunch of T2 mexes to upgrade. Again, like that's when you do like the building mexes away from the base rather than building them in a circle around the base. Especially if you do that like along the back of the map or something. Then at the same time, it's like, I see you've queued up mexes and Geo, so you've got mex and energy, but you don't have any build power queued up. That needs to be queued up at the same time. And of course you do want that Geo to go up first. But before you put any effort really into building those metal extractors, probably, if your energy storing so much. This is possibly a great example of like how like attacking when you don't have an arming advantage just makes you very ineffective. Like that entire air raid destroyed a few converters and a couple wind generators just because there were more fighters. And so it would have been better to like double down on the advantage that was already there rather than do that. But then it's hard to know on these maps because it's hard to know how much air the enemy has. Yeah. But then it's like also a really good queue. It's like you win a an air battle like that, and it's a good opportunity. I mean, less so in this situation because relative economy, but it's a good cue to go. It's like, okay, now's my chance to bomb, or now's my chance to go for shurikens and use them in the battle because I've just proven that I have more fighters than the enemy, and so you can use that information to go. It's like, okay, well, the most efficient way that I can deal damage to him without him dealing damage to me is just double down on air. Maybe drop another air factory and just put 100% of build power into more air. Because you know the enemy isn't going to be able to stop you, at least for a little bit.
Tigers seem to have been really effective on this map just because of, like, it's, you kind of need mass of units to stop them, so their amount of HP, and it's hard to defend with a massive units when you're just on such a large surface area of a map.
Yeah. Well, they're fast enough to get there, but slow enough that they actually have actual stats on them. It's a similar thing for bulls with although the bulls are a bit slower than the tigers, but conversely that means they beat the tigers if they end up in a
Commander
bitch battle.
has died.
But then simultaneously, like, Arm has your Jaguars that can just run circles around the
Battle ended.
tigers and the T1, and has anti-air. I kind of want to have a go at that. And see how well I can do. Because I know some things about playing well on a big map, but I don't know if I know enough.
Damn it,
Oh.
bro, you made static, bro. Get out. Oh no.
Are you only going to be doing replay reviews if there's not people to play, or no?
It's more like I've been reviewing the games as they happen because I've been spectating them. And because there's been ample time to go, like, talk about what I want to
Please
talk
choose
about
your
and answer the
starting
questions.
location.
So I'm probably gonna sit back
Oh,
and
boy.
review this one after the game.
I think I have to restart my
You-
game.
You can start really close to that center to claim those high value mexes in a defendable position.
Yeah. Although, like, I wonder just how much it's worth, because it's like, sure, it's like a 3 max, and so your build power is more efficient on the one. But then your ability to move, it's like you go, like, let's go for vehicles, Cortex vehicles, let's say. I'll go Cortex vehicles this game. You go over to one spot, and it's like 3 mexes for 20 seconds. You go over to... it's about the same. For the same amount of metal, and then you spend less resources on it for the bigger maxes. There's a little bit of a risk involved in that you're pushing the build power forward, which it's like if you're pushing it forward, then you've got a bit of an issue where you're more pressured to defend it because it's closer to the enemy. They're more able to attack it than if you push it backward. But you just be aware of that, and then you can push your army forward in the same direction as the... So, like, if I expand that way, then I can through all my units that way. And then if he's like starting over here, then I can just push at him and then hold this area and close it off. And then I've hypothetically got a wall there and I can defend everything behind it. That's the theory. Let's see if it actually plays out.
For the guys that were playing last game, why weren't you reclaiming much of the energy that's available?
No point. Like,
Battle started.
I think it's
basically no point.
I think it's a little bit spread out and reclaims relatively quickly, and so there's limited benefit to it. I don't know. There does seem to be like there's 7,000 here. There's 10,000 here. You've got another 11,000 there. But I think overall that's not that much. Went before that factory. So because I'm closer to the enemy, what I was saying about 2 minutes, like depending when they start, like it's like maybe as low as 30 seconds to the enemy. So that kind of makes me like, I'll probably put out 1, maybe 2 constructors and then a bunch of scouts.
You're low on power. I'm gonna try to do like the 1 constructor expanding, 1 constructor on energy, and I've already got this constructor on energy here. Yeah, there we go. There's a scout, so this is a good time to have the scouts out. Not gonna chase him, just gonna sit back here and defend my stuff. Not defend it well enough, apparently. Low power.
I'm actually surprised I didn't lose any mexes there. Probably a micro issue. That was probably a pretty good use of scouts overall for Nakamura. Okay, there we go, I lose a mex. And I might lose another mex now. Yeah. Oh no, I lost the radar too. Scouts are coming from that direction, so I'll send stuff over there. I'm attacking, so I'll probably get more scouts to back up. Okay, they're in sizes, that's nice to know. I'm estimating his base is over there. I don't want to go towards that. I need to pay attention to my own base too. Didn't want that to go there.
Well, I'm losing all my expansion today. I'm too slow. Really upset.
Like, would it now be a good time to get your commander building energy converters?
I don't know, it doesn't really seem much of a good time for anything. Definitely get them to stop and get reclaiming, because I've lost all my mexes, so I don't need any more wind generators. I've already got more than I need. They're reclaiming the energy, which is not what I need. It's nice to know. This is not going very well at all.
Seems like it's going alright for you. Less alright now, but
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, because now I'm gonna lose all my expansion for the nth time.
I think you needed to either be a bit more offensive or defensive early, because you're getting hit, because you know you're going to be getting hit much earlier than if you had started in the corner.
Yeah, I just I misestimated that. Like, I feel like I almost had enough, but then it just didn't pan out.
Like, you do have the advantage that you know the engagement is going to be earlier, while your enemy thinks it's going to take a bit longer.
Hypothetically, if I don't tell him.
Low power.
I mean,
The thing is, the scouts might go through that route anyway.
Yeah.
I didn't know where you spawned.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe he might not have made the scouts early just because, like, you could get away with more constructors early on in the normal start, I guess. But still.
Like, it might have been better to start just below the southern large plateau. Or just behind it?
Possibly, yeah.
I think those mech clusters around there are closer, while still being close to the 3.0 mexes.
I also really didn't respond well to like losing my energy. I just kept building mexes and not energy. Like, I was still kind of doing that, like building a ton of mexes and not building any energy, so... I always get confused at this point. It's like, I've been just absolutely destroyed. I have no production. Why aren't I seeing any enemy units in my base? It's like he totally has the power to just send, like, kill me, right? Right? Like, why did the attack? Why did the attack stop?
I like playing the game.
Okay, so play it?
He likes the Sim City.
My playstyle is more of like a guaranteed win type playstyle.
Yeah, why win in
Everyone
3 minutes
says
when
that,
30 would do?
but you why not just guarantee the win by killing me?
He can
I mean-
he would be more guaranteed.
You're not easy to kill.
That's right.
That's the issue.
Say again?
You're not easy to kill.
But I have nothing.
I mean, you might think.
No, I like,
That's just what he wants you to think.
I was stalling building in
This is
sizes for
mind
like
game?
a couple minutes.
5D chess. 5D chess.
What's the point where you switch from regular solars to advanced solars?
When you get like 40 OS and you'll it's not like an economic benchmark. That's what I feel like a lot of people think it is. It's more of like stage of the game. What are you trying to do? I'm making solars right now just because I'm e-stalling. Even though the wind's good, I'm e-stalling and I have more metal, so might as well spend it right now, right?
You can always reclaim it later if you need the metal.
Exactly. If I made A solars there, I would still be e-stalling and I would still be overflowing metal. Oh, yo, what? Lol.
No, I didn't do that. You know, the number one reason I can do a Master Belter is because people just leave me alive and don't kill me.
Aircraft detected.
Oh man.
Radar lost.
Why do I have to start preparing my commander? That's the worst feeling.
Need power.
GG.
Battle ended.
Akumar, after you found out where exactly his base was, did you ever send any scouts to the other corner or no?
I think I did. But I mean, it's like, maybe not all the way. I kind of just did the surrounding areas of the base. If I see there's no cons expanding, then that means that like 99% of the time they didn't skip a bunch of mexes to go for the back corner. They're usually going like a path. So if there's
And it's not
nothing
really
around the
worth
base, they-
skipping to the back corner, it just costs way too much, and then if a scout does find it, it's just dead. So it's not worth
Low-key,
it.
I think it's actually good. I think it's good if you skip mexes. Not like as like a strategy to have like some secret hidden economy, but like I think it's good to have cons that are designated to go like super far out and not have them chain, like to hit the different max clusters.
Just so that it's not all easy to kill altogether. I want another go at
Well, I
this.
mean, it also takes too long. I mean, I could play a different way too.
I'm just
I think-
gonna load up the replay and have a like quick look at it, but I definitely need more units out earlier and possibly LPs because I seem to be allergic to them even though I tell other people to build them. It's the one habit I just can't break is I just learning to build LTs.
Yeah, at the
Right.
beginning of the game, I think that going in the middle didn't really pay off too much, at least in the
Battle
middle,
started.
which I think was part of at least
I
part
mean,
of
it's
the
a
original goal.
marginal optimization.
Yeah.
Going in the middle is not, for me, not super about getting metal. I mean, maybe it would be better to expand away, but I like to expand towards the enemy, which is dangerous, but I like to do it. I just also usually do it with my commander, not constructors, so... and usually use radar. Yeah. I definitely had enough scouts to stop the raids. I did get very run around with them.
Oh, I mean, I also am very good with my scouts. So a
And
little bit of
I'm
self-glaze,
bad
but
I'm bad with them. It was notorious back
I
in
went
the
an
day.
extra con at a really bad time. Like all your units were like about to run into my base, and I was just making a con.
Yeah.
It happens like in a few minutes, I think, but I think I got lucky.
I want to watch this again, because you have 4 constructors and still like a bunch of units, and I felt like I didn't have time to put out any constructors, and so I'm like, when did you build your constructors?
It's Alt F4 like type build. You do like 1 constructor, 4 scouts, 1 constructor, 5 scouts, 1 constructor, 5 more
Okay.
scouts. Then your comm leaves after the second con, so you don't like
Okay, and
just
then
build
they
power assault.
assist the factory rather than going out?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
After 2, you send the rest out, like every other con.
Okay.
Battle started.
Because I did first 2 constructors built, they went out rather than staying home. Okay, no, your first constructor goes out.
Why'd you go for the 1 max?
Like, what do you mean?
With the con, why didn't you go backwards?
Because I like expanding forwards. It's a thing and there's a logic to it. It just doesn't always pay off, especially when I can't defend it. Oh wow, so you're, because I'm sitting here building
I have so many wins.
Maybe I wasn't paying attention, but I was like,
you
he's
did
stalling a
did
lot.
back-to-back. You did back-to-back cons. That's the difference. You need a lot more
Yeah.
energy for back-to-back cons.
Okay. That is
'Cause
true, and
with the
because
new
the other
update, the
stuff,
lab-
because now I'm just accessing energy.
Yeah, exactly.
So if I space out the cons, then I have more energy with which to build them. And I definitely needed a radar, just so I could see the scouts coming and respond to them.
Yeah, I
You
think
said,
Jigsaw was
like-
pointing. Sorry, go ahead.
You said like at one point your mexes were still alive. I think it's like not actually the point of the scouts to kill the mexes. I think it's the whole point is to have the pressure to kill the mexes. See how you've like double my units, but they're in your base
Yeah.
for like most of the game. I'm pretty sure that's the main use. So I was happy with not killing any mexes.
Yeah. Well, I don't mind it either. I don't mind having units in my base, so long as my units aren't dying and yours are. How many scouts do we each have now? 'Cause I'm like, okay, so I've built another additional wind generators, but let's not count that for that constructor because we've each got plenty of metal and I've got extra energy. But that's the 12 wind gens against 9, so a 3 extra wind gen. Like, I feel like you're just building more than me overall.
Yeah, so the scout units only take 110 energy a second to make.
Yeah.
So even though I have like bottom energy, it like kind of doesn't matter. Your metal's also being put into the winds.
But like with
the
I
constructor.
mean, I guess you've produced no, I've even produced more metal than you, I guess, from reclaiming a
Yeah.
mix or something. But like I'm just like, I've got 9 scouts.
I probably have less.
You have 13 scouts.
Oh, okay.
You
I meant,
have an extra
more
constructor.
towards the base, but yeah.
You have an extra constructor, and I'm ahead on resources produced. Like, I've built more wind generators, I guess.
You have double my
'cause-
wind. Yeah.
Yeah, but like
Your calm build
I
time
guess
was in the winds.
this
and
constructor
mine
has
was,
been
like, in
helping you
cons
build.
and units.
Say again?
I was just saying that like your comms build time early game was more in wins and mine was in like the scouts and the cons. Also the con being on the lab is just an APM issue. It should be going somewhere else or my commander should be leaving.
Okay.
This
So I've
one
got
question I had is why
15. Say again?
weren't you moving your con up or your commander up to build defenses kind of like between those two plateaus so that because it can take these early raids pretty easily and not have your construction turrets being threatened.
Honestly,
your
I
vehicles.
usually send my commander out rather than constructors. I was just focusing on the constructors expansion this time, but I also usually play bots, not vehicles, so
Gotcha.
I often get baited into constructor expanding with vehicles when I'm not really comfortable defending that. I'm honestly immensely more comfortable with like bot expansion patterns than vehicles. I've always struggled with vehicles. I don't know why.
I was just thinking, like, I think this early raid that did kind of set you back a good bit. Your
Yeah.
commander could have dealt with pretty easily.
Yeah, like if my commander was up there instead of the constructor, that would have been way better. Because my commander can hardly do anything here because it's like in the middle of things rather than right near Max. And he's surrounded by stuff, so he can't fire like off the distance. Why can't I see my own commander's attack radius when I'm looking at a replay? So frustrating.
And you could have also
Like it's not even.
constructor that you
Yeah.
the constructor that you have out in the front could have gone down south for an expansion and be safe, and then have
Yeah.
the con in between wind and the lab if you needed it.
Say the last bit again. I think you broke up.
You could, if you had the APM, you could trade that construction vehicle between building wind and helping the lab if you have the APM to do that. Like have it do with
Yeah.
the job of the
Yeah.
commander currently.
Yeah, true. And because I'm not using most of the commander's spell power, or maybe I am, I don't know.
I don't think you have the energy to do it right now.
Yeah.
It's also shared between your constructors.
Okay, I wonder how much this is it, because like I'm energy stalling, you're energy stalling. I've produced like 800 more energy than you, but I've accessed like I've accessed 900 of my energy, or 1,000 of my energy advantage, and you've accessed 100, so I've accessed 900 energy, which is like half of what's left on the scout, and then like half of an incisor, like an incisor probably isn't. So part of it is not just that I've spent the time building the wind generators, so I've spent extra energy on the wind generators, or instead of on units, I've also accessed the extra energy they got me, so I don't even have that. Because
Yeah,
like,
probably.
if I had that extra 1800 energy, then that constructor would be done. This incisor would also be done, and I'd be building my next one, and that would make a huge difference. And like, probably I should have gone for scouts rather than incisors so early. But yeah.
I think a lot of that energy was expended early on when you built the two construction turrets back to back, and then all of the scouts.
Yes, but you've built more scouts than me, and you've built more constructors than me at this point. Like, that's what I'm trying to figure out. Like,
It could
where
go
where
to
did my energy advantage go? And it went into excess. That's where it went. That's why I don't have more units than you. I've even got more metal produced than you. Some of that, I think, like, that's pretty much down to reclaiming the max. But, like, in terms of extra metal production I have, I'm actually higher in metal production right now. Because I have 2 3 maxes while you only have 2 maxes. And about to have a third come online. And then, yeah. So that's part of why I went for those 3 maxes. That actually did give me a little bit of an advantage in terms of metal production.
I think it would be temporary though.
Probably. Probably. But I was like, why couldn't I defend it? And presumably one of these is easier to defend than 2 of these spread out. And that might be really important at this stage of the game. But I'm like, I had less units than you did, and I'm like, what do I do with that? Probably if I'm also going defensive. I don't know, how many scouts do I have? 234. I could only really afford 2 incisors for that then. So it's not really worth having 2 incisors over this number of scouts. But when I get more, then it's more worth having incisors for defense than scouts, which is why I went into that next.
How much in solar has Akumar made so far, or is it just wind?
Just wind. Just 9 wind.
Yeah,
I
all
think
my
that
APM is dedicated on the micro right now.
I think
The
that
same.
the back mexes here would have been a lot more defensible because the front ones, like, there's a much shorter travel time, but to get to the back one, there's basically all of the scouts have to go
Yeah.
around.
Yeah.
Um, and so I think like in the end, it was the metal gain. Well, because I guess you lose that mix and then you fall behind in metal. But with the back ones, I think you could have kept maybe a more consistent metal advantage.
Mm.
I don't know, just some thoughts.
I think I'm happy with the expansion pattern as not being like the big issue here. It might be an issue, but I don't think it's the big issue here. I want to give it another go and just manage my energy better and maybe go for like an LLT rather than so many scouts or something like that. And also maybe micro my scouts better because it's like I've got 3 scouts that could be here defending this. These 2 are okay sitting in the middle, but then I've got these 2 scouts sitting out over there doing nothing. So like there's that consideration too. I could be building a lot more scouts to defend this rather than building constructors when I'm under attack, and that would probably be better.
Also, considering the reason you're getting this position is one, the metal advantage from the higher tier mechs. But so would it be good to mix in a solar a little bit earlier, just to make sure you have more consistent energy income? Like especially if you get an east stall like you are right now with the 5 wind, you're going to be having a more energy producing than your enemy.
Fair. I mean, in any map, it's kind of like you trade some metal for energy, and that would work out. But I'm going to be like I've overbuilt wind, and so maybe I could have built a solar instead of overbuilding wind. But then it's like that saves me time at most, I think, because it's like still 4 wind is a little bit more expensive than a solar. But wind hasn't stayed at 5 for the entire time. It's been more. And so it's probably paid itself off the extra cost, I'd say. And is going to. I don't think I'd build a solar here.
But also in your case, in the case of this game specifically, having that more consistent could have been better because you floated off so much. So it's a consistent
Maybe.
lower but more usable.
Possibly, yeah. I don't know. I want to give this another game. I think we've talked about it enough. Let's give it another game and see how it goes. Because at some point you've just got to send it and see what happens. Thank you, Jiggly Jake, for the follow.
Please choose your starting location.
I think we give this one more game and then we give it, we do something different. Yeah, it's really hard to defend the angles. That's what makes it fun. I also built too many wind generators before the factory. I think I was accessing before the factory went up too. which then robs me of build power, which is also going to slow me down. So that makes a lot of sense too.
Wait, usually when it's 15 win max, I'd normally do 3 before getting a lap down.
Yeah.
You love when going low right at the beginning.
Hell yeah.
I don't mind it.
Need power. That's not good. Guess we didn't build a radar again.
I mean, that is technically a metal positive for you, with that reclaim.
Yeah. Just focusing on the reclaim is a pretty narrow way to look at it though.
Yeah.
Okay, this should be pretty good, but half of this is just that incisors are so much stronger. I keep that.
You're low on power. Radar lost.
It does get a new model.
Yeah, it did.
Interesting. Why didn't they repair that when it was done? Okay. That is killing my comm faster than I'm killing it. I did not expect that. This game. Wait, what?
LOL!
That was still killing my comm?
What
I
is
was
that?
out of range. It stopped firing at
Battle
me.
ended.
Did you just
Holy-
manually fire the factory just to like... what? Or was it overshooting?
It
was at max range.
It
Max XP.
yeah, it leveled up mostly from your comm, and then when it hit the factory, it leveled up in XP.
Wait, so it gains range from XP? It shouldn't do that.
It's
You were on
Uh-huh.
the border, and so the regular range wouldn't let me hit you, so I target fired you.
You target fired me. Wait,
Yeah,
what? You can do that?
Yeah. The LT range, like, didn't have enough, but my comm, like, gave vision. Like, its own vision didn't give enough, right? And
Yeah.
my comm gave it vision.
Oh,
And
okay,
then,
so you were
it
seeing
couldn't,
radar
like,
dot,
shoot
and so
an
that's
unknown,
why it
so I
stopped
just-
shooting. Okay.
I mean, I could see you. My comm, like, gave the LT more vision.
Okay,
Wow.
so
You were, like,
it stopped
on the
firing. It stopped firing at me because you stopped seeing me, and then your comm moved and gave vision, and it started shooting me again.
You went too far away. That's why it stopped shooting.
Yeah, and so why did it start shooting at me again?
'Cause you went back to the lab.
I what? I did?
Yeah, you went like you left the area and then you turned around.
Well, okay, that was an accident.
well, you're like right at the border.
Com
The
could have
range.
probably come over and killed me anyway. I didn't. I knew Com reclaim on
How
LT
did
was strong.
your
I didn't.
LOTs keep shooting?
What do you mean?
You had no wind.
I had a ton saved
Yeah.
up. I had a bunch of constructors. Constructors generate a lot of energy, and they weren't building anything. I turned off all my buildings so I had energy.
Oh my god.
And so, like, com still has plus 40. So between my 4 cons and my commander, I had plus 70 energy a second. Plus I built a solar, so I had another 20, so I could easily fire with 2 LTs continuously. Alright. I could have degunned the LT, yeah. I mean, if I had enough energy, I didn't think of that. I just thought I'd be able to laser it down. I didn't
I think
expect
he-
that
I
to
thought
take
you
so
tried
much
to
damage
degun
from
and you
that.
restalled. That's what I thought happened.
Say again? No, I
thought
never
you were
gave the
trying
order to
degun
degun.
and you restalled.
No,
Unlucky.
I was just trying to laser it down and hit it with my thugs, but apparently that didn't have enough damage per second to kill it.
I was just trying a meme build.
Yeah. Well, that was a fun game. Alright. Can we get Othello and Jamerz in to play? Do we want to... Let's do a 2v2 actually.
Okay.
Also, is no, they've left, okay.
I don't mind specking.
No, it's good. I'm happy with these teams.
Wait, you want to play with Legion on?
Oh, sure, why not?
GG.
Is the Legion energy generation on their mines static or scale with the mech's output?
It's the same.
I'm not great at this map, Mullet. I've never quite made sense of it.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure about the best place for twos. This is probably fine, and I can go for that side and
Yeah.
like get the geo and so on.
Is the water too deep for non-amphibious things to cross?
They can
believe so.
cross at these shallow points here.
Yeah. There are shallow points they can cross.
And the kind of tricky thing on this map is to, of course, commanders can cross, but a lot of
Yeah.
times people don't think of that. So, you just block up the choke point and the commander can just walk around it.
It's fairly limited utility though.
Yeah, it's really risky too, especially I guess with 2 players.
Yeah.
Battle started.
Okay, I have something I want to try. Well, apparently you e-stall if you go 3 mechs and then wind. I thought you didn't.
If the wind's bad, yeah.
But like, I stalled on my first wind generator.
Yeah. I don't know. I
Yeah.
think it has something to do with like walk time. Like, because not every 3 mech spawn is the same.
Okay. Alright, well, noted.
Need power.
I do in fact need power. That's right, factories have increased build power. I'm forgetting that.
Yeah. That's why my build works out pretty well for vehicles. Because my con gets
Yeah.
done while I'm building my second set of wins.
Yeah. It's like I'm not the only one who needs power. Ooh. Oh, I didn't. That cost me like 500 energy. 630. Oh, it one-shots them. Nice. Needs vision though.
What?
Overshooting. Overshooting has to be the most frustrating thing in the game. Like, you told me that it was out of range, and then it shot me.
I just don't think there should be splash damage.
I don't think you're gonna win that argument.
Might lose my com.
Commander has
Well,
died.
it's fine. It kind of worked.
Warning,
Oh,
you have the
Jamerz.
last commander.
We know where the last com is.
Oh, you do indeed. I can't do much about that.
It
Trying
sort of
my
worked out.
best against the best unit in the game right here.
I don't think I'm killing you fast enough.
No. That's
I think you're-
the best thing Legion's good at. Not dying.
Radar lost.
Alright, I'm gonna push in towards Jamerz. If you can follow me up, then maybe we've got a shot here. Number one trick is just keeping my commander alive.
You can cross back over to water.
Speaking of commanders.
Yeah, that's just not the only thing I'm trying to do.
What a sneaky sneak.
That's very sneaky. You need to retreat. Your commander. I mean,
Yeah,
kind of done anyway.
I have the OP units now.
yes, you do. Oh, that repair
Yes.
is nasty.
Yes. Dude, why do you have just like an army of thugs after my comm? There's gotta be a better
Revenge.
use. Oh my god. Just running.
Yeah, they're
Battle
technically
pending.
faster. But, that was kind of my bad. I was trying to degun the forward lap because it was really aggressive.
Yeah,
But there are just too many LLTs. It didn't even if I went through the water.
I
Akuma
wonder what was gonna happen
It
with
felt like
that
you were building
forward
stuff
comm.
faster than I could kill them. Maybe I needed like a scout or something so I could see you more, but ouch.
They had a significant resource advantage for most of it.
Yeah, that's understandable.
I mean,
I wasn't expanding.
Yeah, I was gaming.
Let me load up that replay, see what I can see.
There was one shot that like not only went past my LT line, but went over it. I don't even know how that's possible.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that shouldn't happen.
Went over an LT. Just can't ever understand that.
Battle started.
The most frustrating thing, or other than overshooting, is like maintaining vision of the enemy and like actually being able to keep shooting them.
Yeah, I guess. I think the Legion little lobber thing is kind of just suck in general. They're really only good at like not dying and just being annoying.
Yeah, because they're relatively fast and like harder to put as much damage onto because they're separate units. Like versus it's like 140 metal for a thug, it's 60 metal for a satyr. They're called. Aren't they called the lobber? I've been
They
renamed.
Yeah.
removed it. Had to make it more cool sounding.
Yeah.
Can both teams explain why you decided to spawn closer together and further apart?
I wanted more mexes.
I don't know. It happened.
Yeah, I think it was with twos it might be better.
Wait, what is that win setup? Hold on.
Yeah, I
no,
got
no,
lazy
no,
with my
no.
commander.
I've got similar problems with Jammer.
It's just whenever I build with my commander, the first few wins.
We're already up
there.
1,000 metal in 3 minutes.
Yeah, well, that's expected when I'm actively not expanding and trying to grapple with why I don't have enough energy. I should have built more energy, I think, so that I could use that metal, but I was just trying to get units across and deal damage. But I'm more curious about what went over here. Because it looks like, for the most part, they're like expanding in lockstep.
Wait, how do you guys catch up
over
in metal
here, Idle
produced?
Factory. Both of you, it looks like, have more or less overbuilt energy. I mean, if you're building grunts, it's a decent ratio of metal to energy, but if you're building like the more wind generators you build, the less energy you need because they don't cost much energy at all. So I guess it's alright.
Yeah, part of it was the earlier stall, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I threw away at the early exchanges. I threw away too many grunts. I might have been overly aggressive, or it might have been just APM stalled.
Yeah,
but
Oh, okay, that we do see a radar go up there, but I'd probably tend to put the radar up further back here if I'm going for a radar, because then that's about halfway to the edge of the radar range, and then if you just build it about halfway, then you're not so blind, because it's like, here's plenty enough distance from the edge. It's like, he knows you're there, he knows how many units you've got, but you don't, and that's a huge disadvantage. But you're close enough that he could engage on you or just head down here because of like, well, I've got the advantage, he doesn't have enough to kill my comm, I can totally take this.
yeah, I'm actually not sure why he did not. I think he didn't have radar.
Wait, why do you naked expand near the Geo?
There was no pressure there.
I don't mind that if you have enough units to cover it, but the instant I see this number of units here, I'd probably be like, stop building that next, go for laser towers to defend this side.
Yeah, I mean, I thought that he was gonna go down, but he might not have had radar. But that's why I was moving my comm there to try and block that off.
Yeah. And like, Jamerz, for example, I'd probably pop a radar down before you go for the factory, as much as, by the sounds of it, it worked out in your favor. If you have the radar, you can see that there's a commander there and know that you probably should, at the very least, position your commander between the factory and that's good to do anyway, actually. Make sure your commander's between the factory and the enemy commander, so that he can't just walk up and dig on or something like that. But then you can also drop down a laser tower as well and defend it if you know that the commander's there and coming towards you. And
Yeah,
to
I'm
be
actually not
honest,
sure I saw that until now. So if I had seen it slightly earlier,
yeah.
I would have I wouldn't have moved my commander down there,
Yeah.
and I would have degunned it earlier. But
Yeah.
yeah.
I think building that
Is that a
laser
radar
tower is
behind?
pretty good,
Right.
actually, given how many grunts he has. And to, like, close that off, if you were to engage up there, it would be really dangerous, given how his grunt advantage is his ability to, like, deal damage to you. On the whole, I think you're doing pretty well. Maybe keep in mind you've got these expanding mexes. If you're expanding with these mexes here, you're going to need to add on additional construction turret. At the time when you added it on, you had all you need, but then probably grab another one later.
Yeah, I was a bit too late on my construction turret. Yeah, that's where I tried to degun, and
Commander destroyed.
If you're in
I'd
that
seen
con-
one LLT, but not the second one, and that was my mistake.
If you're in that situation, firstly, don't try to push the grunts against the LLTs. You're really not going to gain much by doing that. If anything, you have destroyed his army, go around. Or,
Yeah, I would have had to go around the bottom,
Yeah.
I think, here.
well, you'll
yeah.
if you go through here, you will take a little bit of damage, but not as much as going against those LLTs. And those LLTs can't come and attack you.
Oh, yeah,
So
that's fair. Yeah,
you don't really want to lose units to kill those LLTs. Preferably, especially because they're so far forward, you can easily kill them with the thugs when they get there. You're just going to lose so many grunts to those LLTs.
yeah, no, I did.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's a good point.
Yeah, especially because they've got a lot of veteran C against the commander. They're going to kill those extra fast. The other thing is, like, your grunts walk in and they shot this 90% complete LLT. Don't do that. Set target on these ones to make sure you do all your damage to them. More things, you've lined up here so that these 3 front grunts are blocking the fire of every grunt behind them. If you spread them out like that, they could all be firing and you'd deal a lot more damage. Also, with you walking past, when this dies, this is going to do... Death Explosion by default does about 220 damage right up against it. So it's like, it's probably not going to be that much. But that's like, that could be as much as half the health of your grunt. Which means just by killing that, like if we slow this down.
It probably happens in just a second.
Yeah, you go right around it, and boom, 2 die. These all go down 2 or below half health, and this gets damaged too. That gets damaged like 40% or so, and then you don't have enough to kill that. You had plenty of grunts to kill those 2.
Okay. But even if it was a bad idea to try,
Yeah, even though it was a bad idea to try, you could have killed that grunts with like half your grunts remaining rather than that. And then that would have been plenty of grunts to just, again, run around, deal damage here or something. Because, like, sure, he's killed your commander, but you killed his entire army, so focus on that advantage and take advantage of that. It's like you had very much free reign, plenty of time to run over here, clear out all his expansion, and then that's actually a pretty even trade for you, apart from the fact that my commander's committing suicide up there. That would actually be potentially a favorable trade for you, to lose your commander, kill his factory, kill his entire army, and all his expansion, and potentially keep your entire army alive at the end of that, because just because you're going in, if you go in, he's going to send his army this way to meet you. As soon as you see his army, you just back out, and you run away, and he can't kill you because you're running away.
Yeah, I think that maybe the switch to thugs was probably a bad idea, because I should have kept grunts and then gone around the side.
I don't think so. I think you should have just kept the grunts you had alive.
Oh, yeah, I mean, but given that, like, since my grunts were dead.
Yeah, but at the point you started building thugs, great option. Just don't, and maybe you could insert a few grunts when your other grunts die just so that you have them. But yeah, the other thing is, like, you could totally take this out and then just bring a constructor over here. I believe that would be better for you than building this Jamerz. At least at this point. Yeah. Alright, this is alright here. Rather than reclaiming here, I'd probably advise you get these being repaired. Also, these thugs have enough range. What's this distance here? That's 300 range. Your thugs have 380 range. You could stand your thugs here, kill this one first, and then once it's dead, come into range and kill that one. You wouldn't lose a single thug.
I also could have repaired with the resbot from there, because the resbot could have stayed out of range and wouldn't have been targeted.
Yeah, it could have. And that would have been great, and then you can walk down and, like, every individual unit you lose, like, you've lost 3 thugs there. Also, do be careful. They can stop each other from firing. It doesn't happen a lot, but there was a couple of shots that this back thug didn't fire that it could have if it wasn't behind the other one. But yeah, you could have done a little bit more if you had those thugs. Not too much more, but maybe push the commander back a little bit more or done some damage up there.
And that blocking of fire only happens if they're trying to hit a close target, right?
Generally, yeah. Or depending on hills and stuff. Alright.
Wait, what was the plan?
Hmm?
Just like a quick kill or what? On me?
Not so much quick kill, it's just like these Janis, if I can kill a Loba or a Sato every, what, 7.5 seconds. That's every 7.5 seconds. That's somewhere about 8. That's 8 metal per second that I'm killing. So, and that's like very optimistic if I can micro my Janus really well. But that would mean like a couple Janus make up for like all your mexes. And then...
What do you think?
Well, optimistically, and it can work out if I micro well, if I maintain shots on your army, if I keep your army down, so I keep building Janus. So every time you build a couple more mexes, I build another Janus. If I keep all my Janus alive, if I keep them firing at an optimal rate, it can work. It's difficult, and it can very definitely not work if I take a lot of damage, if I don't have the line of sight I need and I can't fire. It's more of a thing that definitely works in team games because, in like 8v8s, because the players tend to be more limited on where they can move their commander and how many mexes they can build and stuff like that. And so you have more ability to limit what they've got. But yeah, that's sort of the principle behind it.
And you also have a more limited section that you have to defend or attack as well, usually.
Yeah, I can babysit my front while they're probably paying some level of attention over here. And then, in this sort of a situation, optimistically, it's like, I can... If Jamerz was being kept busy by Othello, however that might work, then I can just drive in here and kill him, and then just keep away, and then like you're chasing me. And so it's like, it's a bit of a base tradey situation optimistically, but that's how it can work when it works well. I was more giving it a go because I've mostly only done the Janus build in 8v8s, so I'm not super familiar with it in small teams, but I like trying stuff. I gave it a go.
Yeah, at this point, Jamerz had rebuilt the factory and had too many thugs for me to out-thug there.
Yeah. I mean, you're still pretty even on... Okay, he's got a bunch of reclaim, and so that is a sizable advantage.
Yeah, it's because the commander.
Like, otherwise, like, you've got a bunch of advantages too, like position. You've got this reclaim and res. You've got more control over this area of the map, so you could take this rather easily, I'd imagine. Like, he's got this height advantage there, so you're fairly limited in what you can do. But definitely don't send in units alone like this. If you have grunts scouting ahead, that would be another reason to keep your grunts alive or build some more. It's like, so you don't walk in and lose units like that.
Wait, look at your Geo. Look at Yellow's Geo. Why you got one little dude on it? I think it's faster if you're wanting to make the Geo to make a con turret. Even with one constructor, make a con turret, and then you get the Geo.
Okay.
Not that you'd really have the energy. the resources for it, because that's
Yeah.
another sort of thing you can think of. It's like, try to be building eco or military, generally speaking. Like there's definitely room to balance both of them, but like if you're focusing on this is going to take a ton of energy. You probably want to build it in a time where you can shut off your factory from building, build this and the converters, and then turn your factory back on or something like that. That's generally how I'd build a Geo.
Yeah, I mean, in this case, so I was way too late on my conturret because I think I was too distracted with what was going on in the front, so I didn't build my second conturret early enough. So the lack of build power meant I was floating metal.
Yeah.
So in this case, it didn't hurt me, but yeah, I could see how that could do that in a better situation.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and because if then you had invest extra resources into here, say you had your grunts and you had that military advantage over here and that sort of stuff, it would possibly be better for you to like just not scale your eco by building a geo, and because that'll slow you down militarily briefly, and just maintain the pressure so that I can keep dealing damage over here. You can keep Jamerz off me and deal damage to him, or take advantage of the fact that most of his army is coming over here and fight him over there or something like that. Although he's porking pretty heavily there, so which may vary.
Wait, what's the plan after you get the Geo?
Well,
Or are you just getting it to get it?
I was getting it to get it, which maybe wasn't the best plan. My thought, at least, was just for expanding the economy and at least a little bit, and try and keep pressuring Jamerz with thugs. Then you came in with your comment, so I had to divert some of my thugs to chase them down.
Yeah.
In smaller team games, is making converters less common because you have so many mexes you can usually claim?
Yeah. Or I
try
guess
not
it
to.
gets delayed a bit.
I think converters are a trap until you get a fusion. If you're over like macroing and you're just making wins, too many wins, and you're just e-floating, and then you metal stall, you're just playing the game wrong.
I think there's definitely room for converters in helping you with an air transition. I also think that let's ignore that. There's also plenty of room for converters in terms of if the enemy is porking up and you can't directly pressure them, you might go for converters rather than going directly for a T2 transition or again air, because air costs a lot of energy. And then you can put down your air, your converters will turn off, or you build the air and use all the energy that you've got. But then when you stop building bombers and fighters and don't need that energy for it anymore, then it goes back into conversion. And so that's another good place for converters.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I agree somewhat, but disagree with other things.
What do you disagree with? And agree with?
I think converters can be good, but like, if you're making them to make extra metal, it's like kind of counterintuitive, because you need, on this map, right, the max is 14.
Yeah.
You need 70 energy to make one metal, and you need, what is that, 5 wins to make one metal a second?
Yeah.
So it'll take 200 seconds to make your investment back?
Yeah, I mean, that's similar prospects to like, that's it. That's similar prospects, or even better prospect, honestly, to like a fusion and stuff like that. Or like a T2 transition can take longer than that to like get the T2 factory, get the buildings, get the T2 economy down in the T2 constructor, and then it still takes additional time to pay off that T2 factory. Like that can be, that payoff interval can be better than other options that you have at your disposal. But it can also be worse, and one of the most likely things it's to be worse then is like investing in military.
for me, when I make a fusion, I have many T2 mexes, and I need the fusion for the energy, not for the conversion. Like if
The reason why
last thing, if I'm like 3,000 metal and I'm e-stalling while making like 1,000 energy, I just put down the fusion and then my metal problem solved, and I can use the metal and my energy problem solved. I don't make converters on top of that to try to like make back the fusion.
Yeah, that's...
the reason
Yeah. I generally advise not getting in that situation to begin with, but as someone who commonly gets into that situation, it's a good way to resolve it.
The reason why I asked that is like if you look, when I was looking occasionally through the match to see how much energy was exceeded, and it's if you're stalling on metal and are having thousands of energy exceeded more in the little bit later, why not have a hunter just build a converter or like need structures?
Depending on why you're accessing, is it because wind is very volatile and you have just enough energy but you need to store it more because you don't have enough storage? Then you build a storage, not converters. If you have way too much energy, then sure, build converters, but also maybe consider reclaiming some of your energy production or building something like aircraft, which uses more energy to build. So there are different ways that you can manage it. Converters is definitely better in many cases than just letting it continue to excess. But depending on the situation, like converters have a pretty predictable, it takes this amount of resources and gives you this amount of return, while the other things like building energy intensive things like aircraft, that depends on the situation how much it's going to return. And so you have to question is like, how much is this going to return? Is it going to be more or less than converters? What do I go for? Same within energy storage. It's like because there are situations where it's like you don't really have like you don't have so much excess that you can afford to not just store it, and so you have to go, it's like, okay, it's like, are the converters actually going to be running most of the time, or are they going to run for a little bit of the time and then I'm going to be stalling for the rest of the time? Then I build a storage to take the excess and use it for the stalling periods, rather than you stall the excess periods but you still have more of a problem in the stalling periods because you have even more metal to spend. Make sense?
Yeah, because most of my experience has been in large team games, so it's much more difficult to, like Supreme Isthmus, where like as Pond or the top front, much more difficult to claim metal, so your only real option is to do conversion to increase your metal production.
But that's also a map with max 19 wind and 21 tidal. So it's a little bit different, to be honest.
Sorry,
That's most of my
I zoned out
experience.
for a bit. I missed what you said. Could you repeat it?
Most of my experience so far has been large team games, specifically like Supreme Isthmus as Pond or top front.
Yeah.
And very very limited metal spots to claim. So in order to scale your eco, you do need to do conversion.
Yes, that's
especially
a great.
with Pond.
That's a great place for looking around and seeing. It's like, well, there's not a lot I can do. It's like I could go air, but it would take me a really long time to build air because I haven't already invested in it, and I don't know what targets to shoot, and the enemy probably already has fighters because they have an air player, and so it's gonna take a huge investment, and I don't know if I'm probably not going to get that much out of it, and because that's one way you could use the excess energy, or it's like, well, I guess in that situation, that's really the main reason. Or you could just not build the energy, but you don't really have a lot of other things you could build. Like T2 is probably going to take a long time to pay off, and as Pond, you kind of need to be able to like pivot and help front if they need it, if something goes wrong. So you can't take a huge amount of time to have T2 pay off, which it would probably be better than wind in most cases.
When I play Pond, usually what ends up happening is after I've boosted front, I will claim my 4 mexes and then start making bots and give some to front, start focusing more on eco, and then make sure that the air and eco player, or the air and tech player, if there is a win stall, I'll give each of them like 5 of my titles.
Yeah.
Because I'll usually have my commander building up titles
Yeah.
just to make sure that they aren't screwed by any stall.
Yeah. That's a pretty good use of... And then once you've got that extra E, that sounds like a great case for converters. Because you know you're going to have more than enough E even in the stall periods. You just need to make sure it gets shared to front. But then when front doesn't need it, you've got all the excess, and so you just convert it. That's a pretty good use of energy.
And then it's also, once I've given the titles, it's also acting me as paying tech for my T2.
Yeah. Exactly. And of course, like, the more metal you feed to tech, the faster they can get your T2. Also, people don't often realize this, but tech is often energy constrained as well, because the more metal they spend on energy production, the less metal they have to get to the T2. So often you can also boost... You don't just want to boost tech on metal, you also want to boost them on energy so they can also get that constructor out faster. And their T2 maxes up faster and stuff like that.
I mean, it might just be because I'm, like, currently I think I'm 15 OS, so it's just more of a not that great so far. But I will, by like 15 minutes, I'll normally have like a stock of 16 to 1800 metal, and I'll just usually give that to tech because their scaling can make good use of it. Granted, that's only if front is being able to hold well.
Yeah. Alright. Back to this replay, a couple comments I want to make. Firstly, this is a great example of a time where I really should be pressuring here and killing this army, rather than keeping my Janus over here. If it's true that Janus are my quote-unquote resource production, this is a massive waste not firing. It's gonna take me, like, how long? It's gonna take me, what, 10 seconds to just drive over there? 10 seconds, I could shoot twice in that time, destroy the entire army, and then I'd actually be able to deal with the Janus that he's bringing over here, rather than not being able to deal with it. The other thing I wanted to comment on it is Othello. Your army over here had a bunch of thugs die out here when you pushed up there, and they died because you were outnumbered. You didn't really do much damage. Best thing you could have done when you see you're outnumbered, and hopefully you can tell somehow either through radar. Do you have radar?
Yeah, I should have some. But I'm pretty sure that I lost those 2D gun because of... I want to say I was distracted at that moment by Akamar degunning our lab.
True.
So that was kind of me just not being able to multitask fast enough, and I lost.
It's a good idea to
Genuinely, I
just
wondered how much
retreat.
APM you had.
Wait, sorry, say again.
I wondered how much APM you had. I was like, no shot. He's like, because I was doing like little circles to test if you were actually paying attention, if I could get some D-guns off, and you were like microing them backwards. I was like, no shot. You're microing this and the front.
I was completely zoomed out at that point. So, but at that point, I was a little more on top of things. But that was like at this moment right now. But earlier, I was very APM stalled when you were going in with your commander.
Anyway, what I was kind of saying is, like, you do want to make sure, either by just, like, if you can't watch it, probably retreat. You generally don't want to engage with an army if you can't watch it, especially if you don't know for absolute certain that you're going to be able to do stuff. And so pull it back to here, you fight them with the laser turrets and probably these reinforcements here and the res bot, and you can do more. And then you could also have, like, for example, brought up these constructors and add on defenses to the choke point, for example, I was a
little bit desperate too, because your commander was about to get surrounded by thugs and lobbers, so I was like trying to put as much pressure, but it was kind of like panic pressure that
Yeah.
ended up getting my thugs killed rather than
Yeah.
actually doing anything useful.
Yeah. Don't panic. Bide your time. It was good that you pulled him away, but probably pull him away in a way that you don't lose anything. Or at least, because it's like, even if you don't pull him away, you should be able to pin him right here. So he can't move away because then he'll lose this. He can't move away because then he'll lose this. But then if he advances and tries to kill you, you just back off to your safe place. And so he's like caught in this no man's land and he can't move anywhere. He'd be able to move some because you've got a smaller army than him and he's got laser towers there to help. But it does take a lot of pressure off me and for a longer term.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. Awesome. I was thinking maybe we could give this one more game, and let's do a rematch on this map. I'll probably play a little bit more standard.
We have enough for 3s, I think.
Um,
It is, yeah.
I'd like to do 3s, but I also
like to just do a rematch on the map we just did. So can we go back to, what's the name of the last map?
Canis River.
Yeah. And then I'll probably head off after this game and then people can jump in.
I'm going right now. Did you guys?
Okay. Alright, well, we'll put Jinxer on the other team then, shall we? Alright. Let's run it back.
I think the close start location, I don't know, I didn't like this close starts as much.
Alright, we can do the separate starts.
If I... Oh, I guess you haven't loaded in yet. But I think if you're in the same spot and I go closer to the... I don't know.
Please choose
Yeah,
your
I know,
starting
of course you're obviously
location.
hearing... They're all hearing us, but...
I really don't care.
They're gonna start right in the middle river.
Yeah.
It gives me an excuse for losing every single game today that my enemies always know exactly what I'm doing.
Yeah, I don't know, like... Maybe we'll just do the same start, because, like... The start next to the... Geo, you'd have less immediate access to mexes.
Yeah.
Or it's like a kind of like a more awkward, like... Yeah, screw it. I'll just do this.
I also like starting close together on principle, just because it you have closer access to your ally to help them out if they need it.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. Alrighty? Yeah.
Battle started.
It's alright, I forgot that you can't do that. Well, I'm tempted to just do the Jamerz thing again.
Yeah, fair enough.
I'm doing it. And the enemy knows. I did a bunch of things that I could do better. Like, I built a couple artillery because I thought I might use them, but then they ended up being absolutely useless and just dying. Could have maintained better radar. I'm gonna bring a scout this game so I can actually see what I'm doing. Got a better build so I don't energy stall. And now that I know a little bit about the build power, it's probably worth... well, I could have just skipped the constructor and the factory actually, but what I'll opt to do instead is just build a few mexes along the way, I think. Could have definitely done that build better, actually. That constructor built to wind generators, comwalks for the mexes sooner or something like that. You ought to know that a Jamerz can't friendly fire itself.
Is it just literally impossible for it to hit it, or is it immune?
It's immune to every unit, I believe it's immune to its own projectile, except maybe a nuke.
Can't fat boys damage themselves, or only other of your units?
Only other of your units. So if you have two fat boys, they'll damage each other, but not themselves, as far as I understand.
Low power.
Oh, we've got Jinx's Legion. And I keep failing to kill a Core Scout. Now what will be interesting is if I'm up against Missile Trucks. Also, Jamerz, I saw that. I believe there are tanks coming in behind.
Okay.
Scouts. Yeah, there's 3 of them there. Oh, there's missile trucks. That's... The problem with missile trucks is
nice.
they don't do any damage. Everything shoot the wrong thing.
An allied commander has died. Warning. Your
You've
team
got
is
last
down to its
commander.
last commander.
Okay.
Should be
to
fine.
know.
I've absolutely destroyed a base.
hung it up. Would have missed micro.
Nice. Probably don't want to lose too many units fighting the base. You're probably better to find isolated things that aren't defended to kill with them. You'll just get more value out of the unit, and the more value you get out of the unit, the more you'll be able to do later in the game. What do you mean by instant build? Oh, there's a com here. Alright. Wait. 2 comps? Oh. Alright, okay. Oh yeah, okay, yeah. I'm familiar with no cost, I just didn't quite compute. Well, I mean, if he's got comms over there and I can't do anything with blips, I guess I'll just send him the other side, right? And if you just cover the Jamerz, I should be able to do a bunch of damage to anything. Although that Jamerz shot didn't do much. Wasn't as good as it could have been, but it was pretty good. Yeah, that could be fun. I think I'm done after this game, but maybe next time.
Oh,
Thanks for the offer though, that's pretty cool. That might be a bad fight? I don't know. No, it seems like an alright fight. That actually does... Wow! The Blitz mow through them. I didn't really expect that, but that's why we do that. Just to find out.
Each blitz has almost double the DPS with pretty similar HP.
Okay. Let's stay away from the Jamerz. Oh wow, I've got a lot of Jamerz over there already. We've got units coming in behind. This has turned into such a scrappy game, I really don't know what to do. That's not worth fighting if I'm outnumbered by that much.
oh, send some energy.
I do not have any, or just mine just died.
Yeah,
You're low on power.
I think we're done.
An allied
No!
commander
Okay.
has
Oh well.
died.
No, it was the East Hall right there. Win
Yeah.
2-4. That was such a good snipe.
Yeah.
Battle ended.
I really should have transitioned into more build power at some point in that game. But that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Why are you not claiming those mexes behind you, Bell?
I probably should at some point. I was just hyper-focusing on the Jamerz and getting value out of them. Because that's really how I'm working what I'm doing, is if I extra focus on the Janus and getting value out of them, then that's supposed to make up for the fact that I'm not expanding. And often I play in sort of situations like in team games where it's like at the point where I have more, like, rather than continuing to build Janus or continuing to expand, because there's not really that much expansion to do, I put out a few Janus, then I put out a couple constructors who do the expansion for me, and that's generally when I do it, and then I go teacher and put out a Starlight. And so that would probably make sense if I did the same sort of pattern here, but I'm not really familiar with it, and I was trying different ways I could get value with units rather than putting stuff into expansion.
It might not have made much of an effect on the game, but it's like when you made those 9 Janus that you had at the end, like if you only had 8, then you could have built out all 3 of those mexes behind you instead.
Yeah. Honestly, what would have made a bigger difference is if I'd have realized that I had those Janus and I'd gone use them and killed stuff with them. And if I'd have, like, not let the incisors come through and take out my energy, so I actually had energy to share when his comm went down, that would have been a more impactful change I could have made. But definitely, I reckon once those Janus got through and destroyed Jamerz base, and my comm goes up and it's harder for me to push with Janus and stuff, that's probably the point where I switch tack a bit. I build up a few constructors, and then I start expanding in a more consolidated way, possibly with missile trucks or something to hit towards his expansion. Maybe just like building defenses and bringing Janus and Blitz along the way just to consolidate it, and then I go back and start pushing with Othello.
Because I was watching the metal income, which doesn't take into account the damage you're doing with your Janus.
Yeah.
But even after you took out his base, because he had expanded so much to the west, their team still had a metal production advantage.
Yeah. To be expected. More what I was concerned about there is by killing the factory and killing a bunch of both of their army, the idea was that hopefully, say, Othello and Jinxer were perfectly evenly matched, that would have turned the tide of Othello would have gone on to kill Jinxer because he had a unit advantage and killed him. Does that make sense?
And then also, why was the second commander given to Red? Is it just because they had lost their base, so they needed the energy?
Maybe. I don't know, but from my perspective, it shut down that side of the map so that I couldn't really effectively do anything there. And so
Gotcha.
he just wanted to...
I was looking, I'm like, did you res that commander? We're like, no, it's a Legion. You start with Armada. I'm like, where did this come from?
Yeah. Alright. Well, thanks everyone for chatting. Thanks everyone for playing.
Thanks for organizing.
How was it? Because I haven't done anything like this in a while. It's inspired by something I did in the past, but did you learn stuff?
It's interesting. Mostly what I've been doing so far has been trial and error in large. I think some of what I learned here will be useful for large team battles because that's most of what I play.
Yeah, hopefully, yeah. There are little bits like what I was doing with the Janus is definitely something I do in large teams, and so it's a bit different, but it's still relevant.
Because usually, like, if I'm playing front on Isthmus, what I go with is a few grunts, red spots to get that middle metal.
Yeah.
And then I go into rockets, and then kind of just pork up a lot, just because I just need to hold front and let the rest of my team get the eco going.
Yeah, makes sense. That's approximately what I do. I think maybe I'm lighter on the pork than most players, just because I seem to hate building pork for whatever reason, even though I know it's bad in a lot of cases. But yeah. Definitely, I don't know how familiar you are with the Academy and if you've been posting replays there, but definitely we have a bit of backlog at the moment, but we'll get to you eventually. Definitely post a replay there and we can have a look at it sometime.
Yeah, I did post one a few
You
days
did?
ago, so
Lovely.
yeah, or this morning, yes, like at 2:30. So
Alright, well, hopefully we'll get to it soon.
Yeah, I thought this was all really helpful.
Cool.
Yeah, so thanks for organizing it. Yeah, I definitely learned a lot, especially trying my hand at 1v1s.
Yeah.
And I think also like the Akamar was really helpful in the things that he was talking about, like his thought process.
Yeah.
Like particularly like the way that he opens, and that really made me reconsider how I open.
Yeah. Yeah. That was valuable for me too.
for when you were determining if you were talking about the reason going for Genesis the way you were can be good is the metal that you are basically gaining from the damage you're doing. Is it more just a feeling of this is roughly how much damage I'm doing, or if it's a figuring out actually how much damage you need to do for that strategy to be worth doing?
There is definitely, if you're not doing enough damage, it's not worth it. It would be like building a bunch of converters when you have no energy production. It's like, it's not worth it. You're building a bunch of stuff, not getting any value. The other person who is building stuff and they are getting value from that, they're getting ahead. They're advancing their advantage. Well, I'm not like, I might have a military advantage, but if I don't press that advantage and make something of it, then he's going to turn whatever advantage he had instead, probably an economic advantage, he's eventually going to turn that into a military advantage, and then I have no advantage at all, and I just lose. So
is it more of if I were to do that strategy,
yeah,
is there just like more of a feeling of I don't feel like I'm doing enough damage, I need to switch out of this? Or is there something that you're looking for to know you're actually doing the damage that you need to?
I think it's partly you look at it and analyze, and then it becomes a feeling after you've analyzed it at some point, or you can sort of pick up the feeling as you go. But the idea is that if you aren't constantly feeling like I'm getting value from this, then you need to do something else. In fact, you probably should have done something else before you got to that point, so that there was never a point where you weren't getting value from what you were doing.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And that's hard to work out. Like this game, it's like I messed up. I got to a point where I wasn't getting value, and I was like, what do I do now? And I didn't know what to do. I had nothing prepared, and then the enemy continued to get value with what they were doing, and then just killed us.
And you had 2k metal worth of Janus not doing anything.
Exactly, yeah, because I didn't have a plan for them. Whereas, like, the more you practice, the more you'll have a plan for things, and then if you get to a point where you don't have a plan, you can go and, like, post a replay to us mentors, or just yourself, just go up in the replay and just pause it at the point you stopped knowing what to do, and go, it's like, well, what are all the things I could do now? Which one am I going to pick that I do? Because it's fun, or because it's effective, or whatever, and just be ready to do that next. And yeah.
I think the biggest issue I have more when I'm doing front on like maps, not like Isthmus, but more where everybody acts as a front, is switching between building up my base, microing front, switching between those. I will heavily focus on microing and neglect my base.
Well, I think I generally have an idea of that too. It's like, have an idea of when microing your front is actively generating you value. If it's not actively generating you value, stop doing it and go look at your base. Chances are, in most situations, looking at your base is going to get you less value than looking at the front, if looking at the front is generating you value. If looking at the front isn't generating you value, then obviously looking at your base is going to give you more value.
And also don't have your units be pushing forward while you're looking at your base. Have them either hold a line or back off a little bit if you can back off.
Say again?
Like, if you're switching back to your base and you might spend 10-15 seconds there making a new blueprint or something.
Yeah.
Don't have your units be advancing. Have them either be holding a line or slightly backing off as much as you can safely do without losing your lane.
Yeah. Yeah, and you can also anticipate that. If you think that you're gonna be engaging soon, just do one tiny thing and then go back to the front line. Like, multitasking isn't about doing multiple tasks at once. You can't do that. Don't try. It's about deciding which task to do when. And deciding what at any one moment what's the most effective task that you can do. And most of the time that's going to be looking at the front. And so part of what you want to do is you want to set up a pattern in the base that doesn't take much effort and that's easy to do easy. Like, that's one of the reasons people use con turrets or build big blocks of wind, because it's easy, they don't have to think about it, and it takes so little effort to get a lot of value.
Usually what I'll do is, I did this in that review I posted, is I'll have one or two construction bots have like 60 wind queued, so I don't have to worry about my wind at least slowly increase, my energy slowly increasing while I'm on the front.
Yeah. And that's great. And you can amplify that, you can make it even more effective by every time you think your units aren't being effective on the front, just stop building units so more stuff goes into the wind generators. Although, be careful, if you build too few units on the front, that can be why you're not being effective on the front, but yeah. Yeah.
I'm gonna head out, but thanks again for organizing this. It was a lot of fun
Welcome.
and very informative.
Yeah, again, thank you everyone for coming and hanging around. It's a lot of fun for me too. Awesome. Well, if everyone's up for it, same time next week.
You have a good night.
Yeah, you too.
Yeah, I'll definitely try and make it next week.
Okay, cool.
Right. Bye, everyone.
See ya. Alright, I'm gonna jump off voice chat now. See you guys. Alrighty, and I'm gonna end the stream too. Thank you everyone for hanging out on the stream. I know I didn't read chat a lot, but if you managed to watch some stuff, I'm glad. I'll catch you later.